How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thanks for joining me today. And what I'm asking from our audience for this particular broadcast is to put politics aside, country issues aside, even some civil liberties and social issues aside, just for a moment, because I think there's something here that we, especially in Western countries, Western cultures, should be looking at. And again, trying to avoid the political underpinnings that may come with this broadcast, I hope. Why am I saying all this? Well, there's an article that I think is very important, and the article is titled, China Proposes a 40-Minute Internet Time Limit for Children. And I found this extremely interesting that China would do this, but from a standpoint of, frankly, I'm a grandparent now, in addition to being a parent, which is wonderful things on both of those. I find this actually very refreshing. Now, I'm not sure that this can translate to Western societies as possibly as easily as it can, that people have, to those countries that have more restrictions. But let me give you just a summary here. Number one, it says that internet usage in mobile devices is completely prohibited for children, and we'll define children in just a moment, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. These restrictions are for children under 18 years of age, and they divide up the internet usage into these blocks of time. 40 minutes for children that are under 8. For those children that are under 15, the time limit daily would be 1 hour, and up to 18 years old, 2 hours. Within that, every 30 minutes, what would be required is a reminder to have what they call rest time during that particular period of time. It goes on to talk about the whys of this, and I think for those of you that understand the addictive nature of, and frankly also the, in some cases, the diversions that internets cause, it's kind of an interesting philosophy, and frankly, I think it's kind of good. Now, once again, how do you, quote, enforce that? Well, one of the things that would be really nice, if we look at it, is a phrase that's a little bit uncomfortable too. It's called parenting, of course. That's one way to have that. But sometimes looking at government and saying, well, this is being mandated, so it's not the parent that is being the bad person, so to speak. It's the government. And maybe that's an excuse that we should be looking at. We're also looking at the software developers, the manufacturers, hardware and software, to automatically close those applications. In other words, have a timer on there. The parents can override these things in some cases, but again, parental responsibility is what is being looked at also. And obviously, the Chinese see it as an issue. And these limits are not anything new in the case of the Chinese and the Chinese government. Back in 2018, there was an issue of limiting online access for entertainment purposes on the internet also. In 2021, kids were banned from playing online games Monday through Thursday. And then, once again, the live streaming after 10 o'clock. And putting aside the politics and everything else that's going on, what you're seeing here is an understanding that perhaps there needs to be some throttling going on as to access for children under 18 years of age, because they are children. Of course, the educational purpose and the educational requirements there are out of the bounds here. And of course, there would have to be some kind of an understanding of what that means to be educational versus entertainment, or possibly distracting from the learning that obviously the Chinese are looking for, and the parents are looking for reasons to enforce. So once again, thank you for listening. I hope you take this particular broadcast in the way I intended it, of course, and that's informational, but also some food for thought as to what the internet is giving our children, and also in the age of artificial intelligence, how this may be something that really needs to be considered by not only governments, of course, I don't like the big government type of thing, but perhaps teachers, educators, and of course, parents. Some food for thought. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.